The cops were already in my driveway when the HOA president tried to take my Harley, said it was a compliance seizure approved by the board. Her teenage son stood behind her grinning like he already owned it. And the moment she tapped the bike and said, "We're taking it for him," I knew I wasn't just fighting over metal and chrome, I was fighting for my right to exist in my own damn neighborhood. Let me back up a bit. I'm Ben Hart, mechanic by trade, not a troublemaker by nature. I bought this modest little house 5 years ago, quiet street, 2-car garage, and enough space to tinker after work. My Harley-Davidson 06 Dyna sat right in the center of that garage like a shrine. My grandpa left it to me when he passed. It wasn't just a bike. It was his spirit in metal form, grease patience, and freedom all wrapped in chrome. When I moved in, the HOA was harmless. Dues for lawn care, a newsletter about block parties. Then came Kylie Trent, the new president. You know the type? Loud smile, sharper words, pastel jacket that screams authority. She promised to protect property values. What she really meant was to control everyone's lives. At first it was harmless nonsense. A $25 fine for leaving trash bins out. A letter to my neighbor Donnie for a non-conforming garden gnome. Then the letters started coming for me. One claimed my Harley was a commercial vehicle that couldn't sit in the driveway for more than 4 hours. I actually laughed out loud. I wrote back politely, cited state law, even attached my registration. Thought that'd be the end of it. It wasn't. The next one fined me for excessive noise. My bike's quieter than her landscaper's leaf blowers. Then it was aesthetic blight. Then hazardous leaks. None of it was true. I started keeping every notice in a binder tabbed, dated, labeled. Grandpa used to say paper beats yelling kid. He was right. The real showdown came one bright afternoon. I walked out to find 2 cops in my driveway, Kylie standing between them like she owned the place, her kid Evan slouching behind her in his hoodie smirk painted on. She pointed at my Harley. "This vehicle," she said, "is a violation. The HOA board has approved its seizure for compliance testing." Then she looked at her son. "Evan will keep it safe." I didn't shout, didn't even blink. I just handed the officer my laminated sleeve title registration insurance all clean. He checked the VIN himself, confirmed the bike was legally mine, no liens, no complaints. "This is a civil issue, ma'am," he told her flatly. "You can't seize someone's property." The look on Kylie's face, that mix of disbelief and fury, was priceless. Her little empire had cracked in front of witnesses. But instead of backing down, she leaned close and whispered, "This isn't over, Ben." And she meant it. I could feel it in the chill that followed. That night I sat in my garage under the hum of a single bulb, running my hand along the gas tank. I'd already installed a tiny AirTag months earlier just in case, and my camera by the driveway blinked red, watching, waiting. I knew her type. When a Karen loses in public, she doesn't quit, she plots. Sure enough, at 2:17 a.m., motion alert. I was already awake. The doorbell camera showed a dark tow truck creeping up my driveway, lights off. 2 men in hoodies stepped out fast and practiced. One fished a long metal hook under the garage door, tripped the manual release, lifted it just enough. Then they rolled my Harley out like ghosts. No sound, no alarm, just gone. I didn't panic. I recorded everything. Zoomed in on the license plate, dirty but readable. Then I opened my phone. The AirTag dot moved south, steady and slow. Industrial district. Of course. I followed from a distance, headlights off, tracking the dot until it stopped at a dead strip mall. Empty parking lot, boarded up stores, cracked pavement. I parked a block away, filmed the whole scene from behind a fence. 2 men wheeling my grandpa's bike behind a dumpster like trash. Rage hit me like a hammer, but I held it down. Evidence mattered more than anger. By sunrise, the police had recovered the Harley. It was in the impound lot safe, but tagged as evidence. The same cop from yesterday showed up. He looked tired, maybe a little sympathetic. "We'll do what we can," he said, "but this might be a dead end." I thanked him. But I already knew this wasn't just theft. It was something deeper. Then late that afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I hit record before answering. Then came Kylie's voice, smooth as butter, fake concern dripping through every syllable. "I heard about your poor motorcycle. Such a shame. The police rarely recover those, and the impound fees, oh, they can be brutal. I didn't respond, just listened. But you know, she continued, there might be a way to resolve this, for everyone's benefit. My heart went cold. This was it, the real reason behind everything. You've had some outstanding fines, haven't you? A few $1,000s? Messy business, lawyers' paperwork. What if it could all disappear? I played dumb. What are you saying, Kylie? There's a wonderful youth charity we support, she said cheerfully. A vehicle donation would really help them. You sign over the Harley's title and I'll personally see that all your fines are wiped clean. No more trouble. She said it like she was offering me a deal on a used car. I made my voice small, shaky. You want me to donate my stolen bike? It's not stolen, she chuckled, just misplaced. Think of it as a community gesture. That was the moment I knew she'd hung herself. What she didn't know was that I wasn't alone on the line. Before the call, I'd contacted Mark Dwyer, an investigator in the state attorney's office, a guy I'd met through a friend. He'd listened to my whole story quiet until the end, then said, she's setting up a pattern of coercion. Keep her talking. Record everything. Mark was on the call, recording legally with my consent. I was just the bait. When Kylie finally hung up, the silence in my kitchen felt electric. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. Mark came over that night, no suit, just jeans and a polo. He looked over my binder, every letter, every fine, every ridiculous claim. Then we reviewed the footage, the AirTag trail, Rosa's video from across the street, and the recording of Kylie offering to trade my property for her forgiveness. Textbook extortion, Mark said. We could take this straight to court. But then he smiled, slow and sly. Or we could let her destroy herself first. That's how the plan began. The next HOA meeting was a week away. I acted like a beaten man. In the meantime, let the lawn grow avoided. Eye contact, nodded politely when Kylie walked by. She needed to believe she'd won. Mark prepped the evidence like a prosecutor builds a case. He edited a short 54-second clip. Kylie's voice crystal clear. You sign over the title and I'll wipe your fines clean. He added the footage of the tow truck and Rosa's video from across the street. Clean, seamless, undeniable. The night of the meeting, I dressed plain, clean shirt, old boots. I felt calm, almost detached. Grandpa used to say, if you respect the process, it'll always work. This was just another rebuild, another broken engine waiting to run right again. The clubhouse was packed. Kylie stood at the podium in a white blazer, greeting everyone by name, her son scrolling on his phone in the front row. She looked confident, untouchable. When she called for open forum, I raised my hand. The crowd murmured, the motorcycle guy again. The board recognizes Mr. Hart, Kylie said sweetly, hiding her grin. I walked to the mic's shoulders, slightly slumped, tone soft. Good evening, Madam President. I'm here regarding my unpaid fines. Recent events have made me reconsider my position. I'd like to propose a settlement, but I need to provide some context first. With the board's permission, I'd like to play a short recording. She couldn't resist. Permission granted, she said, almost giddy. I plugged in the USB. The speakers crackled, then her voice filled the room. Think of it as a donation. You sign over the title, and I'll personally see that all your fines are wiped clean. The room went dead silent, then gasps. Every head turned toward Kylie, her face drained of color. Before she could stammer out a word, I hit the next file. The projector flickered on. The tow truck in my driveway, the two masked men, the Harley disappearing into the night. Then Rosa's shaky footage from across the street, same scene, same time, different angle. Proof. The noise in the room exploded, shouting disbelief, outrage. The board members leaned away from Kylie like she was radioactive. Her son muttered, "Mom, stop," but she grabbed the mic, voice cracking. "This is fake. It's doctored." Too late. The residents were already yelling about fines, threats, absurd rules. Uncle Donnie stood up, waving his fishing gnome like a battle flag. "You fined me for this damn thing!" The room roared with laughter and fury. The vice president, pale and trembling, stood. I moved for an immediate executive session to discuss the president's conduct. He got a second instantly. Kylie's empire was crumbling in real time. And then the doors opened. Mark Dwyer walked in, calm and composed, two uniformed officers and a woman in a state investigator badge behind him. He picked up the mic Kylie had dropped. Good evening. I'm Mark Dwyer, State Attorney's Office. I believe we have a few things to discuss. The entire room froze. The investigator, Detective Miller, approached Kylie. Mrs. Trent, we have a warrant to search your home and seize all electronic devices and HOA records related to your activities. Kylie didn't argue. She just stood there, small and shaking, while the officers escorted her and her son out of the clubhouse. By the next morning, the truth unraveled fast. The towing company Apex Asset Recovery wasn't licensed. Its owner, a greasy man named Reuben Pike, confessed everything. Kylie had hired him half a dozen times to illegally tow cars and bikes from residents she didn't like, always paying cash, always off the books. The invoices traced back to her fake company, Trent Consulting Services. She'd built her own little criminal empire out of HOA bylaws and intimidation. With Pike's statement, the recordings, the videos, and the mountain of paperwork I'd kept, the state had her nailed. Extortion, conspiracy, grand theft, the works. Within days, word spread. HOA president arrested. For the first time in years, people smiled in this neighborhood. Rosa started a petition to recall the entire board. We needed 25% signatures. We got over 60% in 2 days. People who used to hide behind closed blinds were out chatting, laughing, telling their own stories about Kylie's reign of terror. A week later, another meeting. Same room, completely different energy. Kylie sat in the back with her lawyer, looking 10 years older. The vote to remove her was nearly unanimous. Then the board voted to fire Apex, cancel all outstanding fines, and rewrite the bylaws so no one could ever abuse them again. When it was over, nobody cheered. They just breathed. Relief. Freedom. I got my Harley back from impound a few days later. It was dusty but untouched. I spent the afternoon polishing it, tightening bolts, checking oil. When the engine finally roared back to life, that familiar rumble filled the garage steady and deep. It wasn't loud. It was proud. The sun cut through the window, glinting off the chrome. Across the street, Uncle Donnie's gnome was back in his garden. The kid with the basketball hoop had it set up again. For once, the neighborhood felt like a neighborhood, not a kingdom under surveillance. I rode slowly past Kylie's house on my way out. A big for sale sign leaned in the grass. Her perfect lawn had gone wild. No one forcing her to mow now. I didn't feel anger, not even triumph, just quiet satisfaction. Grandpa used to say, "You don't fight a bully by screaming. You fix what's broken piece by piece." He was right. I didn't need revenge. I just needed the truth. Some people thought this was about a motorcycle. It wasn't. It was about freedom and the line you draw when someone tries to take it. Never let anyone turn your home into their kingdom.